Hi, and welcome to MBA512, Business Planning and Strategic Management for the winter 2020. So this video is going to be an overview of the class. And within this video, I will answer many frequently asked questions and clear up a lot of confusion about how this class works and what you need to do. It's very important that you watch this video to the end because there are frequent questions that I'm answering all throughout the video. So don't feel like after 5 minutes you get the gist of it and move on to working on the class. Stay for the full video. I'm trying to avoid any confusion you might have and reduce the amount of emails you might be sending asking me questions by focusing on a logical approach, an organized approach of how to deal with this 3-week course and get the most out of it. Okay, so this is the menu path. So I tailored the menu path to make it very easy to get what you need from the course. So very quickly we have the announcements, the syllabus, the class video lectures, course documents, discussion boards, assignments, the Zoom simulation we're working on. There's a link for each of the 2 textbooks we're working with, and library resources, as well as tools where your grades are housed in the grading book in the tools area. So we'll go through the menu path in order. So the first thing is announcements. So the first announcement I post is about getting started. So I have the 5 things to do first, which is see the syllabus, see the assignments, see the discussions, see the Zoom simulation on the menu tab, and watch the getting started video. So you're watching the video now, which is the best first step to take. So this is my welcoming email, which I send out, and I open the class up early. So if you want to start working on the work in the class early, you can. So I open up the class almost a month ahead of time for those of you who may have scheduling problems with work. I try to give you extra time in case the 3-week time window of the actual course isn't enough. Second post is about the discussion boards. So discussion boards are a big part of this class. They're 18 points of the grade, 6 points per week. There are 2 discussion boards each week worth 3 points each. Now, so I expect every student to post an original response to my question, and there's at least 2 replies. And each post should be somewhere between 100 and 200 words as a guideline. And you earn points for your level of participation and the quality of your answers and replies. But more on that when we actually get to the discussion board menu button. There's also a simulation. So there's a Zoom business simulation for this class, and this simulation is we're going to stress the strategic side of the simulation. So I have a getting started video here, and the simulation is worth 15 points. This is the link to get to where the simulation registration is. I've also placed in the Blackboard menu. This is the class code we're going to use, and this is the schedule for the simulation. But again, more on the simulation when I get to that menu button. And the final exam. So the final exam will open up on January 21st, and it will close up on January 24th. So I give you multiple days of work on the final exam, and then I have a YouTube video that explains how the final exam is going to work. It's a little complicated, so I made a video to describe how you're going to do the final exam. So you should watch that. And then I will send out each week, I will send out a reminder of what you should be focusing on that week. So I did put together this overview of our weekly work for each week. There are 3 weeks, and I've listed all of the chapters and all of the videos. So for example, for week 1, we're going to be going over 6 chapters, and there are 6 videos to watch for week 1. Okay, so moving back up to the top. So that's the announcement. So it's important to read over announcements, and periodically I'll post new announcements, and generally when I post an announcement, I'll also email a copy of it out to you as well as a signal to say something's up. Okay, next button, the class video lectures. So in this button, this will bring you right to where the host is for all our class video lectures. And this will bring you right over to YouTube. So I have a YouTube playlist that houses all of the videos for our class. And this is an important area because it organizes where you can find the videos in order of when you should really watch them. So subscribing to this playlist would probably be the best way to ensure that if I post any new videos, you get an announcement to that. And also hosting it within YouTube is a great way to make the videos more accessible. So you can watch it on your computer, your TV, your tablet, your iPad, your Android device, your iPhone, really anywhere you can get YouTube, you can watch these videos. So it makes it very accessible and very well organized as far as the different videos to watch, and I put them in order of the chapters that we're going over for the course. So I also email you weekly about the class, and generally when I email you weekly, I kind of remind you what chapters you should be reading, what videos you should be watching as well, with links to them. So that is, I found a great way to organize and host the videos. Okay. I forgot to I skipped over the syllabus, so let me go back a step to the syllabus. This is what I should have done after announcements. Basically, you should read over the syllabus in its entirety. Now, this is an asynchronous class, which means we're 100% online. We're never going to meet in the classroom face-to-face or in real time. This is all, you work on your schedule, on your time. As long as you get the assignments done by the due date, you're fine. So it's 100% asynchronous, which is great for people who are traveling or people who may be far from campus, or if there's a snowstorm, so there's none of them to worry about any of those physical world impediments when it comes to this class. Now, the course description, you should read over the course description. It outlines what we're trying to do with this course, what our learning goals are, and just really what is this course, how we're going to accomplish the learning goals, what we do for our class time. So basically, since we're not meeting in the classroom, we're going to have discussion boards, case studies, we're going to have video lectures, so we're going to simulate a classroom using our online tools. Now, there are two textbooks. Textbook 1 is Strategic Management Theory and Practice, the 5th edition. And this is what the textbook looks like, and I have a link. Here's a link to order it directly. I also have a link here, the Purnell textbook, to be able to quickly be able to buy this book. And it's a book at low cost. I've tried to keep the costs of this class as low as possible. The second book is book 2, is the Blue Ocean Strategy. And again, I have a link for Blue Ocean Strategy textbook up there. And again, this is a low-cost textbook. The two textbooks describe two different sides of strategic management. The Purnell is a traditional strategic management textbook that covers all of the traditional topics expected in strategic management. Blue Ocean is a new strategy or strategic management book that covers the new world of innovation, disruption, computerization, AI. So the Blue Ocean Strategy is about the new strategies that are being developed and deployed currently and how to really become a dominant force in your industry. So both very excellent books to read. Now the grades, participation is 18 points, and participation is measured on how you participate in the discussion boards. So in the discussion boards, each week I'm going to be grading you based on your participation, meaning did you answer the discussion board question? Did you read other students' posts and reply to them? So it's all about the participation. Same thing if you were in the classroom, which we'll discuss more when we get to the discussion boards. Mini casework. So I have 30 points in mini casework. So there are mini cases that are in the back of the strategic management book that you're going to read over and answer questions to. And when we get to the mini case tab, I'll show you how that's going to work. And the cases are typically between 2 and 4 pages, or 200 to 800 words for most cases. So not typically long, that's why I call them mini. At the online exam at the end of the semester, there'll be a final exam for 37 points, and the Zoom simulation is 15 points. So that's a total of 100 points, and here's our grading scale to convert to a letter grade. And the test will be online, of course, and the test will be based on material from the textbook. And then the exam date and times will be under announcements. So the format is essay and short answer. So a link will appear for the final exam on the time frame when the exam is available. Okay, participation. Here's how it defines participation a little bit more closely. Each week I will post a class discussion using the Blackboard discussion board, and I'm going to expect you to post an original response to the discussion question, and then reply at least to a set number of students' posts, replying and commenting or adding to what they have said. And I'll go over more specifics of this when we click on the discussion board tab. Okay, here's the basic class schedule for week 1, week 2, and week 3, what topics and classes we're going to be covering, and I also embed the YouTube links in here as well, so you know what videos to be watching. So when you get a chance, read over the syllabus more thoroughly. Okay, so we covered the class videos. Let's move to course documents. So here in course documents, I'm going to give you a case study example from a student. So you can open up this PDF if you wanted to see an example format of how to respond to a case. And of course, in the example, you would put your name, the case you're working on, and then answer the questions as best to your ability. So this is just sort of an example of a case formatting, how the format should go. Your responses really shouldn't be as long as this case. This is a bigger case, but then including references and then your citations, and your references should be included. So this is how where a citation is, and that refers to something on the reference list. So just an idea if you want to know the proper format for a case study. That's up here. We have the PowerPoints for the strategic management, text, and Blue Ocean. So if you click on here, you're going to see the Purnell chapter PowerPoints as well as the 2 Blue Ocean PowerPoints. So the Blue Ocean book I've broken up into 2 rather long lectures based on the material in the Blue Ocean book, as well as I have a couple guest lecturers from a couple of other universities who have their own spin on interpreting Blue Ocean for you to watch in the video lectures. But I have the PowerPoints here for that. So just going back to course documents. These are the end of chapter answers to the practice true and false and multiple choice questions. So in the Parnell textbook, there'll be some true and false and multiple questions at the end of each chapter, which are good to study and helpful for the final exam. So I've also included the answers to those questions, so that way after you complete those exercises, you get a better idea of what the answers are, or you'll know what the answers are. So that's what's in course documents. Discussions. So we finally get to discussion board. And here is, of course, we have a general discussion board area where you can just ask questions of me or other students. And then we have our week 1 discussion question. So we have, let's see, it's 1 question for week 1. Okay, actually this is part 2 for week 1. And then we have 1, 2 for week 2, and 1, 2 for week 3. So each week there are 2 discussion board questions. So we have the first one is about strategy, best strategy, and the second one is about innovation. So when you click on, so I wrote click here because it's not always obvious. So you click here to start the discussion board. And when you start the discussion board, I've already posted something to give you an example. So when you post something, you want to create the thread with your first and last name and your response. So this response to the question is where I put my response in here. And then you should grade your other students' responses from. You can't grade your own. But when you read other students' responses, you should put an overall rating. And these ratings are anonymous, so the other students won't know what you're rating them. But it's a good way to get feedback to know if your posts are good or weak or things of that nature. So here I put my response to the question, and I also cited a source for some of my material as well as the Zappos website. And then you can click on reply if you want to reply to this posting. So now when you go into the discussion board for the first time, you're not going to see any threads here. You're going to have to create a thread first, and then you can go back and read the other students' responses. This prevents you from getting too influenced by what other students have done, and will help to keep your post more original. So to create a thread, you just click on Create Thread, and then you put your subject. Typically for a subject, you should put your first name and your last name, then the title of your subject. So in this particular case, I'm going to talk about, if I think Walmart has the best strategy, I'm just going to put Walmart's strategy as my title. So there, Very informative subject. I know the student, and I know that the subject of what they're talking about. And then down here, you answer the questions posed in the discussion board. So you can just type in here and give a nice response. And if you use any information or data from facts, you should have them. They should be cited at the bottom of the post, so we know where you're getting your data information from. So then when you submit, you'll see that your post will be underneath the last post, or above the last post. So the new post at the top. So then once you're done, you can read other students' posts. So I'm going to go ahead and just delete this post because it's blank. Okay. So let's go back to the assignment. So in the assignment, I say here that I give you the questions, and I say 2 rules. Please make, for this is actually, for the first discussion board, I don't want you to talk about Apple as your company, because otherwise I'll have 15 responses that will be Apple, because they're big companies like Apple, Google, Amazon, Netflix, typically they all get mentioned, but most students talk about Apple all the time. And I had one student that was so insistent on every discussion question to talk about Apple, it got rather redundant. So for this one, I don't want you to use Apple as your company. I say here, don't repeat any other student's example. You're not going to know the other student's example. So let me edit that out. I used to have the discussion boards open where you could read the other students' responses before you posted yours, but I found that there were too many students copying each other's ideas or formats, so I now make the discussion board blind until you do your post. Okay, so I just do a quick edit on that actually. 2 rules. 2 rules. We'll talk about don't use Apple as your company, and don't use Google. Okay. Any other company is completely fine to talk about. Just stay away from Apple and Google for this first one. Now, for each student's original thread, please grade or rate each thread by 1 through 5 stars. So I want you to make 1 post and at least 2 replies to other students' discussion boards. So if you make 1 post and a student replies to your post and you reply back to that student's reply, that does not count. You make your 1 original post, and then you go and read another student's post and make a reply, and then read another student's post and make a reply. So we don't want to live just on your 1 discussion thread. We want you to, and ideally I'd like you to make 3 replies if you can. So this is just a bare minimum. But I'd like to be as active as you can be in discussion boards. And your original post should be between 200 and 300 words, and replies to other students should be between 100 to 200 words. So you must post your originals on Monday to Wednesday to give chance other students to read them. And then you can post your replies to other students on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Really at any time you can make these replies, but I find it's more organized if people post their originals early in the week so people have a chance to read all the originals, and then the replies can be more towards the last part of the week. Okay, so it's discussion board 1. Discussion board 2 is also, this is week 1 but part 2. So each week expect to do 2 discussion boards, and this is really, I've kept the discussion questions very open-ended and interesting, so it would further discussions. And in the past, as I put up discussion boards, I've found that some discussion boards are less attended, less enthusiastic from students' point of view. I delete those, come up with new questions. So I'm always working to make these discussion boards better, more interesting, more related to the topics that we're going over in class. Okay, so switching, let's see, so we did the course documents, discussions. Now we'll go to assignments. So in assignments, you don't see it here, but let me just turn on the view. The exam will be posted here, but it's not going to be posted there until January 21st. So on January 21st, you can come to assignments and you'll see where the final exam is, and then you can work on that for the last week of class. But that will only be, there's only a short window to work on that. However, in assignments, we do have week 1 cases, week 2, and week 3 cases. So for week 1, we're going to, if you look at the back, the end of the chapter 1 in the Parnell textbook, and so these cases all live in the back of the chapters that we're working on for the week that we're in. So there's a case on Costco, Home Depot, and Amazon. So read those cases and answer these questions. So what you should do is, you can even, a good format is you make sure that you always restate the question before you answer it, so I know what you're answering. And you can use, really just need one Word document, and in one Word document, so you don't have to attach 3 separate Word documents. So just open up one Word document, and then you can I'll show you a little trick here to speed things up. So it doesn't have to be in traditional essay format, but what it does have to be in is in a logical, organized format, which will help me to grade it a little quicker, and hopefully also help organize your work. So what you can do is you could just go like this, copy all the questions, Control copy, go over here, paste them into Word, and then you could just start answering right after the question. You don't want to, let me turn off that. So you can just start answering, typing in your answer at the end of each question. That way it's nice and organized. You don't have to have like a very rigid essay format. Just see the question and then answer the question. And you can kind of do that all the way down, and you could save the case as week 1 cases. And then so when you're done reading the 3 questions and answering the 3 sets of, reading the 3 cases and answering the 3 sets of questions, you can click on week 1 cases here, and then you can also view the rubric. So you may want to view the rubric to see how I grade the casework. So here is the rubric of what I'm looking for when I grade your casework on this. So check that out. Also, you can go down here, browse my computer, and save your Word document or PDF file and click Submit, and then I will have a copy of your file for grading. Now also down here I say, okay, so I give it written directions down here as well. Make sure your name's at the top of the assignment so I know who you are. And in the grade book in Blackboard, you may see an exclamation mark, but it's waiting for me to grade, so that I don't grade instantly. So if there's an error in submission, you might see a question mark or a padlock on your grade. That means there might be a grading error in submission. So just check to make sure that you may have to resubmit it if you don't see that it's been submitted properly. It'll let you know. And make sure it's a Word or PDF. I can't open up any of the documents unless it's in those 2 formats. Okay, and so you just rinse and repeat for week 2 and week 3. You read the case studies, you answer the case questions, and you upload one document that contains the answers to all 3 case questions. Okay, and you should always have citations and a reference list for each of the cases. Okay, now moving on to the Zoom simulation. So the Zoom simulation, you click this link, and you're going to come into the Zoom business simulation. So first thing you do is you're going to register. You're going to register as a student. You're going to fill out this form, and then you have to pay for it with a credit card. There are no authorization numbers. That's for if you buy, I think, a $200 textbook from McGraw-Hill or one of those companies. You might get like an account with the textbook, but we don't have a $200 textbook, so we're buying this a la carte. So you sign up for your student username, and you put in your, okay, so then we're going to put in our username and password. So you put in your username and password, you sign in, and then you're going to see select your professor. So there are practice rounds here, and you're free to play those, but I'm not grading the practice rounds. I'm grading the team competition. So the first thing you do is select your professor, and then you pull down the list, you look for my name. Here we go. And then you pull down, and you want MBA512 Winter 2020 is what you want to select, and hit Submit. Okay, now you click on Play Team Competition and create new company, because each of us are going to be a company of 1. So we're not going to work in teams of 2, 3, 4, or 5. It gets a little too complex in the winter, 3-week period, to work in teams. So I'm allowing people to work as a team of 1. So click on Create New Company. And then you're going to select your team name. You will be the president. You can leave the rest of these positions blank. And then just click Submit Company Data, and your company will be created. And then you can work on the sales, marketing, production, and finance. But I have a separate video that goes into more detail about how to complete those tabs that you can watch at a later time. And it's under, this video can be found under the announcements in the Zoom simulation announcement. I do give links, a couple of videos you can watch to get an overall idea of how to play the simulation. But just be careful, those videos were created maybe a year or longer ago, so they may have due dates or may talk about a certain class in there. Just ignore anything that has to do with during the video about any due dates or any specifics for a class. Just watch them as a tool to learn how to play the simulation as best as possible. So for example, the video may talk about a class code that's from 2019, but we're in 2020, so the class code or the due dates in the video are not the same as our class because it's just an older video. So just beware of that if you watch the how-to video on the simulation. So let me just go back to Blackboard. So actually, if you go to announcements, I'll just show you. Why don't I just show you? Okay. So down here, I have a link here. This is a link for the getting started with the simulation. And I think down here I have another video about what not to do in the simulation. These common mistakes you can avoid. And with the simulation, you do not have to fill out the reflective observations. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to put together over 2,500 total cumulated overview points, so that each round you earn points. Add all those points together for the 6 rounds, you're trying to beat 2,500. And typically I have about 75% of the class that can do that. So, and these are the dates. So round 1 and 2 are going to be in the first week, January 9th and 11th. Round 3 and 4 in the second week, this is January 16th and 18th. And round 5 and 6 in the last week, January 23rd and January 25th. So those are the dates. And once you have to wait until I process the round, so you can't work ahead here. You can complete round 1, wait till I process it on January 9th, and then you can complete round 2. So each year you have to wait for all the students to be done. I process it, it refreshes it, and then you work from there. So you can't do it all in one day. We're going to do it step by step because everybody has to participate and be processed at the same time. Okay, so that's the simulation. Now I have a link here, of course, for the Purnell textbook. And this link will give you the purchasing options. And again, this online ebook, you can get it as cheap as $39 for the book. There are other options if you want other bundles. And then I have a link to Blue Ocean, which is simply just Amazon.com. So you can come here, and it's Amazon.com, and they're selling the book for $18. You can get it on Kindle for $15. So plenty of different options to get this low-cost textbook as well. And then tools are where your gradebook is being housed, and library resources is where you can go to get a little additional articles for the case studies if you wanted to get some more articles or do some research and get the proper citation format. You can do that under the library resources. Okay, so that is the top-down approach to our course in less than 30 minutes. So congratulations if you made it to the end of this video. Now you have a really good head start on how to accomplish this course within the 3-week time frame. I think you find this course a lot of fun and very interesting and a good way to tie together a lot of those materials you learned throughout the MBA program. So thank you very much. I'm very happy to be your professor for this semester. I wish you the best of luck, and feel free to email me if you have any questions, and I'll talk to you soon. Thank you and take care.